Well, all this week on the programme, you'll find me in the company of Bob Woodbury, who is a mole catcher. And I've come to Nailsea to see him at work. Hello, Bob.
Good afternoon to you.
Now, tell me a little bit about your background. Where are you from originally?
Well, I'm originally from West Dorset, boy, and I came to Bristol in the mid-60s and joined the Customs Service and spent 40 years working for them.
Oh, right, so you had an interesting job. And how did you come to mole catching?
Well, when I was coming up for retirement, I remembered an old thing. Jack Hargreaves used to do a programme out of town, and I remember years ago there was an item there about a mole catcher in Dorset. So I sort of filed that away in my mind, and people said to me, what are you going to do when you retire? And I said, I'm going to become a mole catcher. Anyway, people kept saying that to me, and I kept using the same answer. And I was having my hair cut one day in Bishop Sutton, and Joe, the hairdresser, said, what are you going to do when you retire? So I said, well, I'm going to become a mole catcher. Anyway, she said, you ought to go and see this lady customer who's got a mole. So I said, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if there's any future in that. And a friend of mine who has ponies had a mole in his paddock. So that week I went out and bought 3 mole traps. I went to these 2 places, put 2 traps in the ground and caught a mole. And from that point on I thought, I wonder if there is a little business here to be made. And I got in touch with a mole catcher up in Oxfordshire who produced a video and a book, spoke to him, bought some more traps, and I put the traps in. And as I say, within a couple of days I was doing mole catching. He said, well, you don't need to come to me for a course because you're already a mole catcher. So I started off, advertised locally, came up with this thing about no mole, no fee, which seemed to be successful in the advert. And I went from about 3 mole jobs a month in the first year, which was 7 years ago, to basically 3 mole jobs a week.
So it was a self-fulfilling prophecy then, wasn't it?
Looks like it, yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not the sort of thing that many people would enter into in retirement, though. I mean, it's an active job, you're out and about, you're travelling around a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the attraction is, of course, the beautiful countryside around here in North Somerset. I've called myself the Mendip Molecatcher, and I spend a lot of time up on the Mendips, particularly in the winter when I'm doing the farm jobs. Although now here we are in the summer, it's nice, but you picture yourself up on the Mendips, kneeling down, putting 100 traps in the ground for 5 hours with the sleet blowing in your face, and you sometimes think, hang on a minute, I'm supposed to be retired, what am I doing here? But fresh air is wonderful, isn't it? So, yes.
I got a feeling there's a beer called Molecatcher, isn't there?
There is, actually. I think there's the Moles Brewery. I think they're up in somewhere like Oxfordshire. I don't think it's sold much down here.
Well, throughout the week we're going to find out a little bit about the work you do as a mole catcher, but to end up today, just tell me the area that you deal with.
Right, well, I work with a partner of mine, and we split the area up between us. Paul Smith and I work together. We cover really, I'm the Mendip Molecatcher, but we cover, I suppose, from Clevedon and Portishead, I say from the Bristol Channel to the White Horse of Westbury. And we cover right the way through Saltford, Keynsham, Bath, all the way out to Trowbridge, and then we drop down to Shepton Mallet, Wells, Glastonbury and Street, and that's the sort of area we cover.
It seems to be those pesky moles are everywhere.
Yeah, they haven't been so busy in the last month or so, but over the last 7 years it's kept me a little bit of pocket money.
Nobody's been that busy over the last month or so.
I've no doubt
too wet.
Yeah, exactly. It's awful, isn't it? Yeah.
In olden times, the mole skins themselves were sold, weren't they?
Yeah, they reckon, I think, back in the 1800s it was a sign of a successful mole catcher if he had a moleskin waistcoat, and they reckon that they took 100 moleskins to actually make up a waistcoat. These days there's no market for moleskins whatsoever. Back again in the 19th century, I believe we exported 4 million moleskins to America. So nowadays, if I've got a moleskin and I want to get rid of it, you can sell them to the people who make flies for fishing. But they want me to get 10 at a time to dry them, send them off to them, and they give me 50 pence each. So it's really not exactly going to make me wealthy.
It looks like a lovely velvety coat they've got, though.
Yeah, it is ever so smooth and beautiful, yeah. It's a shame, really, as you say, that they're such a pest in other ways.
Well, what